got the hay unloaded, and Uncle Ronnie's out in the field putting in some cover crops on one of the fields that we took the oats off late. We were late to get the oats off, and so he's out putting on cover crops. He ran out of seed, so we've got the seed wagon bringing down to him, get him refilled, and then we're done with that. And the next thing we'll be planting will be soybeans when we get, next thing we'll be planting will be winter wheat after we get the soybean harvest underway. Once we get some beans off, we'll start planting winter wheat right away into that ground. All right, he's reloaded, got enough to finish, and then moving on. So we just stopped this, got a group of horse riders crossing the road here, so got traffic stopped behind us. A whole bunch of cars were parked in the middle of the road. As soon as they get out of the way, we'll be on our way. Pretty nice to see this, though. Looks like they're having a little bit of trouble with a couple of horses. Things just didn't go very good. I was going up the hill and the universal went, and when that broke off, the drive shaft ripped hydraulic hoses apart. I didn't have any brakes, didn't have any steering, no forward drive anymore. Man. Luckily nobody was behind me. Holy shit. So, what the heck? Yeehaw, gotta love farming. Okay, so that's how I ended up right there. I was going forward up the hill when I downshifted, the transfer power blew the universal on the brake or on the drive shaft. The drive shaft immediately dropped down, spinning around, and wiped out hydraulic lines. So I didn't have any forward drive, and I didn't have brakes. I didn't have brakes immediately. I lost them right away. But I could steer. I mentioned earlier that I had no steering. I lied. I could steer. So this is probably a steeper hill than it might look, but where this happened, about 150 feet up from this location, it's even steeper yet. So I started rolling backwards and at a pretty good clip, and as this is happening, you're trying to figure out what am I going to do. And first of all, I looked behind me, and nobody was behind me, luckily. There was some cars way down at the intersection, but other than that, it was clear. That's amazing. So I started rolling backwards, and I had already rolled past Cole Road, so because that would have been a great option to try to back it right up into there, but it was just too late. Everything happened too fast. So I missed that. I'm looking at this huge ditch, and at first, foolishly, I'm thinking, I'll back it down the hill. And then as I started picking up speed so fast, I knew that was a bad idea because I knew I was going to end up rolling over if I tried doing that. and probably hit somebody. So anyways, so then it was, okay, I need to stop this. I need to jackknife it. Where can I put the drill? And there was a driveway coming up. So now I'm rolling backwards, probably 30 miles an hour anyways. And I said, well, I'm going to try to back the drill into there best I can. And as soon as I thought that, and as soon as I started to turn, it going that fast, you turn just a little bit, it goes fast. So you can see the tires on the grain drill, they're still on the driveway. Amazingly, nothing happened to the drill. It's still hooked up to the tractor right now in this location where you can see. Everything's still hooked up to it, it's just fine. And then what we did was we hooked the payloader onto that later on so we could pull it back a little bit, get pressure off the pin. We unpinned it, all the hoses and everything off, and then we pulled it backwards far enough that my uncle brought our John Deere 4440 up, and we hooked the drill onto that tractor, and then he took it away. So my first phone call was to Travis, and then after that I called Andy Horrigan right away. He's got the knowledge, he's got equipment, he's dealt with an awful lot worse crap than this. He's been there, done that, and I thought of him right away. I knew he'd be able to help. He was out chopping hay at the moment, so he couldn't himself come up, but he sent his son Jared up, and he was there in minutes. Travis was there right away, and then Jared showed up with their service truck, and he backed right up. On the service truck, they've got all sorts of tools and everything you could ask for to do a on-site repair like this. So Jared and Travis, they came up with an idea to put bolts into the fittings that the hoses had ripped off. The threads were bad anyways, so they put bolts into those fittings and welded them right in, and it really slowed down the leaks. So the idea was to minimize the leak so that I would be able to at least steer the tractor so that we could tow it out of there and up the hill to a field into a safe spot. So while they're working on that, then I called Mikey Fellows, and they operate Fellows Trucking. They operate in the gravel bed right down the road. Their family. Called them up, and he was right there with some sand. I told him I had oil all over the road, what was going on. He said, okay, I'll be right there. And he was right there, and you can see he was getting the sand on the road to cover up the oil to take away that hazard. And so now you see Jared's welding those bolts into place. The oil's catching on fire. Travis was scrambling, trying to find water. He got water bottles. And whenever it would flare up like that right there, he would just throw a little bit of water on it. And, but that worked awesome, amazingly. So they got the leaks sealed up for the most part, like I said, just so I could have pressure and I could steer. And that was our plan. So that right there, that's Jared Horrigan. I'm going to call him the best welder in the Northeast after that day. His family, they operate Horrigan's Family Dairy. His dad, Andy Horrigan, he has the YouTube channel, Farming, Fixing, and Fabricating. A lot of his subscribers have come over to our channel. We appreciate that. And those guys, they're just great friends. And it's nice to have people like that to support you when you really need help in a situation like this. So they have me up in there to start it, so I'll fire it up, and they saw a couple more leaks, and then they fixed those. But once we had that squared away, you're gonna see I'll fire it up, and Mikey had hooked the payloader onto the tractor, and him and his dad Chris there, and they just pulled me up the hill. So I have steering again. That was awesome, because I don't know how we would have got that up the hill otherwise. But so we just tow it up and we put it into a field and in a safe spot, and now we have to fix it. So we're still working on that. But once that was out of the way and that hazard was gone, then it was a matter of making the road safe again and cleaning up the mess. So we did all that. You'll see. So that's what we're doing. The sand had soaked up the oil, and we took care of that. We just put it to the side and then left it in a pile so that we could clean up the piles of sand. There's my friend Jason. I called him up, told him what we had happening, and he said, I'll be right there. He showed up with about 4 brooms and a shovel, and can't thank everybody enough that came and helped us that day. That was awesome. It was a scary ride, but it was a short-lived ride, and it all happened quick, and nobody got hurt. So thanks for watching. Click that subscribe button, and if you tap that bell, you can get notified when we put up a new one. Have fun. Thanks.